It was July 2015. A 60-year-old successful chiropractor, Dr. Mary Yoder, who lived a healthy lifestyle. While at work, she was down with a stomach bug and caused her to suffer serious vomiting. Her condition progressively worsened over the next 48 hours, causing her to be admitted to a hospital, eventually leading to her death. At first, the doctors were flummoxed about the cause of death. An autopsy revealed a terrifying clue. Her organs looked in bad shape, like someone who had just been through chemotherapy. The medical examiner concluded that Mary Yoder had been poisoned. So who killed Mary Yoder? Mary Louise Yoder was born in Buffalo, New York on March 18, 1955, to her mother Norma Janet Marie Bakert and father Arthur Charles Bakert. Mary was a well-educated woman, and she earned her doctorate in chiropractic medicine from Life Chiropractic College in 1986. She married to her husband William Yoder in 1977. William was also a chiropractic doctor. Both of them were a hardworking and dedicated couple, living in Whitesboro, New York. They had 3 children, Liana, Tamron, and Adam. Mary and her husband built and ran a successful business, Chiropractic Family Care, in Whitesboro for 28 years. She was a beloved woman and well-known member of her community who touched countless lives throughout her working and social life. Mary believed in holistic medicine and herbal supplements. She even grew some of her own herbs in her cherished home garden. Mary loved gardening. She also enjoyed dancing, especially Bollywood, belly, and African dancing. She was a gifted artist and pursued photography, painting, and pottery. Mary was the absolute best grandmother who lovingly adored each of her grandkids. Her grandkids were the center of her life. Mary led a very active lifestyle, caring for her 3 children and grandchildren while often putting in 10-hour workdays at her clinic. She had a fulfilling career and a beautiful family. Many friends and family described her as the epitome of health. It was July 20, 2015, a Monday. Mary Yoder was 60-year-old at the time. She woke up around 6:30 that morning, and that day she had a full schedule of patients at the chiropractic clinic. She felt fine that morning and left for work at around 7:45 a.m. She arrived at her clinic just before 8 a.m. There were already patients waiting for her at the office. She walked into her clinic from the front door and said morning to her receptionist, Caitlin Conley. Here, I would like to introduce the 23-year-old Caitlin Conley, as she will be one of the key characters in this case. Caitlin was born on April 9, 1993, to her mother Kathleen Conley and her father Vincent Conley. Caitlin's parents had 7 daughters, and her father Vincent was a former Army major. Caitlin met Adam Yoder, Mary's youngest son, in the summer of 2011 at Caitlin's high school graduation party. The two quickly fell in love, and by fall they had started dating. While dating Caitlin, in 2012 Adam introduced her to his family and got her a job as the receptionist at this parent's clinic. Back to July 20th morning, when Mary arrived at her clinic just before 8 a.m., she started her busy day. By lunchtime, she had already seen half of her scheduled patients. She made a lunch break and went to Utica to visit her 93-year-old mother. Her mother had just moved in with her sister Sally, so Mary wanted to see if her mother had settled in well. Mary returned to her office around 1:30 p.m. Like usual, she made herself the almond milk and protein powder shake that she would normally have for lunch every day. After taking her protein shake, she continued her work, nothing unusual. However, at 4:30 p.m., Mary suddenly did not feel well. She had nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. She thought it could be just a common stomach bug, hence she continued her work until 6 p.m. When Mary got home just after 6:30 p.m., she spent most of the evening in the bathroom. Her condition still did not improve. Mary told her husband she would sleep in the living room that night as there was a bathroom beside it. As stomach bug is just a common illness, William did not think much and went to sleep in their master bedroom. At 6:30 a.m. the next morning, when William woke up, he saw Mary had not improved and she looked very pale, drained, and exhausted. Things seemed not quite right. William made a call to his daughter Liana for advice. Liana was a doctor. After the phone conversation, Liana told William to bring Mary to the hospital as soon as possible. At 9:30 a.m., William and Mary arrived at the hospital. At first, the doctors suspected infection was causing Mary to be ill, but after various tests on Mary, the doctors could not find out what was wrong with her. As Mary's condition seemed stable, the doctors advised her to stay overnight in hospital as they would like to do more tests and hopefully could find out what was wrong with her. After admitting Mary into the hospital, William went home to rest. At 5:30 a.m. the next morning on July 22nd, there was loud banging at the front door. Being woken up by the loud noise, not completely awake, William got up from his bed and opened the door. At the front door, there were 2 state troopers standing in front of him. They told him the hospital was trying to get in touch with him, but to no avail, so the hospital rang them. The state troopers told William that Mary's condition had deteriorated overnight and she was now in an intensive care unit. Shocked by the news, William quickly dressed up and rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctors told William that during the night at 10 p.m. Mary got up and fell in the hospital room. She suffered a cardiac arrest and the doctors managed to bring her back. After that, they admitted her into ICU. So William stayed at the hospital that day and started calling his 3 children to inform them of Mary's condition. Throughout that day, Mary went into cardiac arrest 7 times, and at 2:54 p.m., tragically on the last cardiac arrest, Mary died less than 48 hours after becoming ill. Mary's family was devastated. The doctors were at a loss and perplexed about the cause of Mary's death. How could someone who exercised daily become so sick and die out of nowhere? Since Mary dies under the hospital's care, a routine autopsy is ordered. During the autopsy, something not right was discovered underneath the microscope. It showed Mary's tissues and organs are under attack. It's a telltale sign of poison. So the medical examiner's office contacts poison control for help. Tests were run on Mary Yoder's body for common arsenic and cyanide poisons, but the results returned negative. After 2 months of running various tests, a chemist at Poison Control got a positive hit. The results showed that Mary died from colchicine, a toxicity which poisoned her. Colchicine comes from a plant known as autumn crocus and is a highly toxic substance, and in pill form, it is commonly used as a treatment for gout. But if a person ingests a lethal dose, death is normally the outcome as the toxin is quickly absorbed into the body. When the toxin continues to be absorbed into the body, the major organs start to shut down one by one. It can also cause repeated cardiac arrest and normally results in death. The initial symptoms of colchicine begin to take effect within 2 to 8 hours and can often be between 2 to 4 hours after ingestion. Symptoms are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. It basically causes all of your liquids to leave your body. Colchicine, when used properly, is an effective medicine for treating gout and inflammation of the joints. Based on the autopsy report, the investigator finally knew the substance that killed Mary, but investigators have to find out how it got in her body. They found out that Mary had a garden, and they initially suspected that it could be she had taken something from the garden, and Mary also took supplements. Then the investigators started their check on the supplements to see if there was any contamination with supplements, so they collected the samples and sent them to the lab. The results: no contamination. The investigators concluded that it was not an accident. When the investigators speak with friends and family, they found out Mary had a month-long trip planned with William to Europe for late in the summer, hence suicide is also ruled out. That leaves just one unsettling option: somebody murdered Mary. So Mary Yoder's death was ruled a homicide and the investigation continued. It is common that when someone dies, the investigators will start from their spouse. On the day Mary became ill, William was absent from the office. The investigators didn't have much information about William's whereabouts that day, other than he wasn't at work. So very quickly William became the primary suspect. After Mary's death, William didn't grieve quite as much as some thought he should. Not long after Mary died, he reportedly started dating his widowed sister-in-law. While the investigators focused on William as the key person of interest, the case took a twist. On November 23, 2015, the Onondaga Medical Examiner's Office called the Sheriff's Department. They received an anonymous letter that claims to have information regarding the case. That same day, the Oneida County Sheriff's Office also received an identical copy of that letter claiming the same. The person who wrote the letters knew that Mary's death was due to colchicine toxicity and claimed that the person responsible for Mary's death was her youngest son, Adam. The letter also detailed that a bottle of colchicine would be found in Adam's car. At this point, the investigators ruled out William Yoder and turned their focus on Adam. Adam was quickly brought in for questioning, and he was grilled about the letters. During the interrogation, Adam told the police that he was visiting his sister in Long Island, New York, and had gone there on July 15, 5 days before Mary's death. He only came back after his father told him about Mary being sick. The alibi seemed rock solid, but the investigators asked if they could search his car. Adam agreed. Based on the information in the letters, the investigators searched a specific area of his car and they found a small bottle labeled colchicine, a cardboard wrapper, and a receipt for the purchase of it. When his car was searched by investigators, Adam was smoking a cigarette. When a bottle of colchicine was found in his vehicle, the cigarette almost fell out of his mouth. Adam was utterly shocked. There was a Gmail account on the receipt that was used as part of the online transaction. The Gmail account was mradamyoder1990@gmail.com. The evidence seemed clear, and now Adam became the key person of interest. But Adam maintained his innocence and claimed that he had no involvement with his mother's death. However, the investigators felt something amiss. Adam's alibi was rock solid, and they also felt that the whole setup was too convenient and suspected that Adam was being framed. So they continued to investigate. They started by interviewing the potential witnesses, and the first witness was with those who know Adam best. That would be his on and off girlfriend, Caitlin Conley. Caitlin was close to Adam's family. She had been working at their clinic for 4 years, and she was identified as a loved one in Mary's obituary. The investigators hoped that if anything suspicious was going on between Adam and his mother, Caitlin might know about it. The investigators also hoped that Caitlin would be a key witness for the case. So Caitlin was brought in for an interview. She pointed the finger at Adam. When investigators interviewed Caitlin, they asked her if she knew how Mary died. She said that she knew it was due to some toxin. But when investigators asked if the toxin she meant was colchicine, Caitlin replied she never heard of the word colchicine. The case took another twist at this point. The bottle of colchicine, cardboard wrapper, and receipt found in Adam's car were sent to the forensics lab for further investigation, and it came back with explosive details. The crime lab developed a female DNA profile from under the stamp on one of the envelopes used for one of the anonymous letters. So Caitlin was brought in for another interview, and the investigators asked Caitlin for a DNA sample. Caitlin was very cooperative with the investigators. She offered her DNA sample. Caitlin's DNA was compared to the DNS profiles found under the stamp on the bottle of colchicine and the cardboard sleeve the bottle was packaged in. Her DNA profile was present on those items. The investigators also learned that when the package was delivered to the office, Caitlin had signed for it. Caitlin explained that she always pre-stamps the envelopes, and since she signed off the packages delivered to the office, it was not unusual her DNA would be found on the packages. Investigators questioned Caitlin about the Gmail account found on the receipt. She said that she did not know that account and had not accessed it. Afterwards, the investigators contacted Google. Google provided investigators with the IP addresses associated with the Gmail account, and investigators further checked with the providers of the IP addresses. The providers confirmed when and where the Gmail account was created, accessed, and subsequently terminated. The Gmail account was created in September 2014 from an IP address associated with the chiropractor Family Care. It was accessed several times from IP addresses connected to Caitlin's phone and her home. So the email account was created on a computer at the clinic and been accessed via Caitlin's phone, yet it had never been accessed by any of Adam's devices. The Gmail account was used almost exclusively for the specific purpose of the purchase of the colchicine. Investigators found that most of the transaction took place via email. The subsequent check revealed that the seller spoke to the buyer on the phone twice and described the buyer as having a young, soft female voice. The purchase was for 1 gram container of colchicine and was billed and shipped to the chiropractor Family Care, care of Adam Yoder. Further investigation also revealed that a W-9 tax form that was required for the purchase of the colchicine was typed out using a typewriter at the chiropractic Family Care on the 14th of January, 2015, when Caitlin was working there. The colchicine was bought using a gift card, and that gift card was bought by Caitlin. Caitlin's phone also contained images of research on poison. The evidence was mounting up against Caitlin. At this time, the investigators believed that Adam was being framed and the evidence in his car was planted. As investigators enter into their 4th and final interview with Caitlin, she continues to point the finger at her ex-boyfriend, Adam. And to investigators, her story sounds oddly familiar. So they asked her directly if she sent the letters. She admitted she wrote the anonymous letter, claiming she was afraid of Adam, who was allegedly abusive. She said she did it because she loved Mary and feared Adam. She claimed she had broken up with Adam when he became abusive. When the investigators dug deeper into their relationship, it revealed that Caitlin and Adam's relationship was considered toxic. While in relationship they constantly argued, she had charged Adam with rape and even given Adam a supplement in 2015 to help him focus on school, but it made him sick and experienced symptoms similar to his mother's. Caitlin also told Adam that she had an ectopic pregnancy, leading Adam to get back together with her before Adam left her again after suspecting her of cheating. They remained as friends after the breakup. With all the evidence and dark side of their relationship, the investigators suspected that after their most recent breakup, Caitlin had decided to get even with her ex-boyfriend by killing his mother. As Caitlin was an employee of Mary's at the medical practice, so she had the means, motive, and ability to be the murderer. As such, the investigators arrested Caitlin for second-degree murder in the death of Mary Yoder. At the trial, Caitlin's defense team claimed William was responsible for his wife's death. They argued that William likely laced Mary's daily protein shake that morning before work, as there wasn't enough information about William's whereabouts that day, other than he wasn't at work. The defense team claimed that William's motive was in the form of an alleged illicit affair with Mary's older sister, Kathleen Richmond. If William killed Mary, he would be free to be with Kathleen. However, the prosecution disagreed. They claimed that they were basing on forensic evidence, and all of the evidence proved it was Caitlin, and the motive for murder was revenge. They believed that after Adam ended their relationship, Caitlin wanted Adam to pay, and that is why she poisoned his mother and sent letters trying to frame him for murder. Furthermore, according to forensic evidence, the phone records showed little contact between William and Mary's sister before her death. The case took a sharp turn again at this point. During the trial, 2 of Mary's own sisters adamantly disagreed with the prosecution. Mary's sister Janine King said, "We thought she was being framed." When asked about if she believed Caitlin was responsible for Mary's death, Mary's other sister Sharon Mills said, "No. Not at all." After 3 weeks of testimony and 5 days of deliberations, the defense was able to create enough reasonable doubt to leave jurors hopelessly deadlocked. The judge was forced to declare a mistrial. But the investigation continued. 5 months later, Caitlin Conley was back on trial for murder. Before the second trial was started, Caitlin's family hired a new attorney, and the new attorney completely changed the defense strategy. At the first trial, the defense team was focused on the theory that Mary's husband murdered his wife, but this time, they turned their focus on Adam Yoder. They were trying to create a picture that Adam was a troubled son and managed to get Mary's sister Janine King to confirm their claim. The defense was also trying to paint a toxic relationship between Caitlin and Adam. They also managed to get Mary's nephew, who lived with Adam around the time Adam dated Caitlin, to take the stand to testify that Caitlin was the victim of domestic violence at the hands of Adam. With this, the defense team claimed Adam was seeking the revenge, hence he set out to frame Caitlin murder his mother when Caitlin refused to get back together with him. Some of the text messages were used as evidence to prove Adam was begging Caitlin to get back to him. Although the text messages seemed undermining the prosecutor's case that Caitlin was the one who committed the crime, however, the prosecutors still consistently kept to their main theory. This time the prosecutors added on a lesser charge of first-degree manslaughter in case the jury find Caitlin not guilty on the second-degree murder charge. After weeks of testimony, the jurors requested to take another look at the moment captured on the police interrogation videos. One of the videos captured the moment an investigator asked Caitlin why she believed Adam would keep the poison in his car that would directly link him to the crime. Caitlin replied that Adam would keep it if he wanted to use it for someone else, and then she continued, "Right, but guys also don't use poison. They say it's a lady's weapon." The jurors repeatedly viewed this part of the video several times and wonder if it was a curious statement or a guilty slip of the tongue by Caitlin. However, the jurors were more convinced of the prosecutor's presentation of electronic evidence that included incriminating searches and transactions that were captured on Caitlin's cell phone and computer. At one point, the jury told the judge they couldn't reach a decision. The judge told them to keep deliberating. Where the jury did, and they reached a verdict and found Caitlin guilty of the lesser charge of first-degree manslaughter. So, in January 2018, Caitlin, then 24-year-old, was sentenced to 23 years in prison. She is required to serve a minimum of 20 years in prison before eligible for parole. That means she will be eligible for parole only in 2023. Before sentencing, Caitlin's defense attorney makes a final plea for the verdict to be thrown out, claiming prosecutors did not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt that Caitlin poisoned Mary. The defense attorney said, "You cannot prove that on July 20th, 1:15 in the afternoon at the business of the chiropractic, Caitlin Conley poisoned Mary Yoder. It's not there, it never will be there, and the jury's verdict was irrational, and you should set aside the verdict. Thank you." When Caitlin made her final statement in the trial, she said, "With all due respect to the justice system and to our jury system, I am innocent. And I would like to thank my family and friends and strangers that are standing up in support of me. It seems that the case has come to a closure, however, it wasn't." Several Mary's sisters believe that Caitlin was wrongly convicted. They believe the real persons should responsible for their sister's murder were William and Adam. The same sisters of Mary who alerted the sheriff's office for Mary's murder investigation, who now are saying they believe wrong person was arrested. They even started the Free Caitlin Conley campaign. So who really killed Mary Yoder? Can we trust all the forensic evidence? Do you think Caitlin is innocent? Do you think William and Adam are responsible for Mary's death? What do you think about this case? Leave your comment below and let me know your thoughts. Thank you very much for being here. Hope to see you again in my next video. Well, life is so uncertain. Be sure to spend good time with your family while you still can. Take care. And goodbye, my friends.